I don't believe it. It makes no sense. There is something so strange. Perhaps you can suggest some fantastic explanation. Couldn't it be this sort of thing? He turned the drawing around. Yes, she said. That is what I mean. This was the first explanation of the splitting of the atom. Robert Oppenheimer said, impossible. But within 15 minutes, he decided it was real. He realized it would release a great amount of energy, but you could generate power and make bombs. Within a week, on Oppenheimer's blackboard, there was a crude drawing of the bomb. Enrico Fermi stood in his office and looked out over Manhattan. He cupped his hands to the size of a tennis ball. A little bomb like that, he said, and it would all disappear.
There is no doubt in my mind. If terrorists had acquired a nuclear weapon, they would not have hesitated to use it. So I guess the question is, could they ever get one? Al-Qaeda is determined to acquire nuclear weapons, and to use them if they get them. In the early 90s, they tried to buy highly enriched uranium in the Sudan. They got scammed. Just prior to the 9/11 attacks, we do know that Osama bin Laden and his lieutenant, Zawahiri, sat down with 2 Pakistani nuclear scientists and discussed nuclear weapons. Before releasing the sarin gas on the Tokyo subway, the Japanese called Shinrikyo attempted to acquire a nuclear bomb in Russia. They bought a sheep farm in Australia to mine uranium to build their own bomb.
The objective of al-Qaeda is to, quote, kill 4 million Americans, including 2 million children. This is, in his calculation, what's required to balance the scales of justice. He takes various incidents from Shatila to the war in Iraq and counts up the body count and says that's how many people we're owed, 4 million. You're not going to get to kill 4 million people by hijacking airplanes and crashing them into buildings.
Actually, I'm not that worried about nuclear weapons.
It's not one of my main worries.
I do not worry about nuclear weapons.
恐怖分子要有核武器就很担心。
Isn't everybody worried about nuclear war? That's a stupid answer, eh?
Не дай бог чего, случайно даже.
I don't know, it just has never been something that I've actually had to think about in my everyday life.
美国拥有那么多核武器，那么多核弹，它一炸，好，全世界、全地球都没了。
It might, get on your conscience for a couple days maybe, and then it kind of just disappears.
那认命，那玩意儿躲都躲不了，那东西。
I don't think anybody is going to use in this day and age. Ridiculous, even think about it.
What can you do? Nothing.
At the end of the day, it's one button, and there's going to be a big mess at the end of it, isn't there?
Somebody's going to make a mistake one day in it, and we're all going to suffer for it.
There are 3 ways to acquire a nuclear weapon. You could steal a bomb, you could buy a bomb, and you could build a bomb.
Of all the things I learned after 9/11 about terrorism intent, the most startling discovery for me personally was realizing that they were trying to build a bomb.
The hardest part of making a nuclear bomb is getting the material, the highly enriched uranium or plutonium. Many countries have these materials, and often they are poorly guarded. But if I were a terrorist intending to build a nuclear bomb, and I wanted to blow up a major city, I would look to the countries of the former Soviet Union. There have been many cases involving the theft of highly enriched uranium or plutonium. And every time there has been a black market seizure of stolen HEU or plutonium, and they were able to track it back to its source, it came from Russia.
There was a case at a Russian naval base in the early 1990s. One of the naval personnel told a relative of his where the highly enriched uranium at this base was. This relative walked through a gaping hole in a security fence, walked up to what you and I would consider to be a tool shed, snapped the padlock with an iron bar. He set off no alarm. He was not detected at all. The Russian military prosecutor in that case said, quote, potatoes were guarded better. At a facility called Luch, where they fabricate fuel made from highly enriched uranium. There was a worker there who knew that as long as the output was within about 3% of the input, they figured it was normal losses to waste, and they didn't bother to investigate. So he kept stealing small amounts of highly enriched uranium day after day over a long period of time.
Надо было холодильник, плиту газовую поменять. Инфляция, зарплата не догоняет ее, и никогда я не могу не купить ничего. Мне хотелось купить необходимые вещи, а дальше нормально, честно работать.
Eventually, he stole 1.5 kilograms of 90% enriched, highly enriched uranium. He set off no alarms, no one noticed. He had friends who were making their living stealing car batteries. And they said, maybe the guy in Moscow who buys our stolen car batteries will buy your stolen uranium. So they went down to the train station together, and the police came and arrested the car battery thieves, and he got arrested along with them. That's the only way he was ever caught.
We have cases in which People from the Russian nuclear arsenal were selling material, and they were captured. We have cases in which people from Russian nuclear labs were selling material. They were captured.
Almost all of those cases, until the material was seized, it had never been noticed to be missing.
All the black market seizures that I'm aware of were serendipitous. They were caught by luck. So that we don't know whether it's the iceberg or the tip of the iceberg.
Once you've managed to acquire highly enriched uranium, you'd need to smuggle it out of the country.
Georgia is located along Russia's southern border. A natural corridor, and things like highly enriched uranium could be smuggled through such a place on their way to Azerbaijan, Iraq, Iran, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, so on and so forth.
When we started, we discovered that this was the real paradise for smugglers of all types. In the June of 2003, a smuggler was captured 180 grams of highly enriched uranium. Final place of destination, Istanbul. August the 1st, 2006, someone tried to smuggle nearly 1 kilo of so-called yellow cake. In that year, 2007, we captured a person who tried to sell to a Turkish buyer 14 grams of uranium. The so-called Hintsagov deal started in the end of 2005, when we first time received an information that a person named Oleg wanted to sell 100 grams of uranium for $1 million.
The Georgians invented a so-called man of Turkish nationality who said he was a Muslim man representing a serious organization. Oleg Hintsagov believed he was selling highly enriched uranium to make an atomic weapon to terrorists.
У меня профессий много, но я и по ремонту автомашин работал, и на техстанции работал. Ну, во-первых, мне нравится Lamborghini, Jaguar. Ну, я люблю вообще шикарные машины и большие машины. У меня был Buick Special Luxe, американский.
The thing I am afraid of and strongly dislike is that Hintsagov promised to sell additional 2 kilos of material. I am afraid that there is really a place in which 2 kilos of stolen material still lies and waits for its potential buyer.
Постоянно мы смотрели по телевизору, даже вот как вторая башня, первая упала, как вторая, как вот таранили. Это все показывали прямой репортаж. Ну, это, конечно, невинные люди погибли. Невинные, но террористов во всем мире это тоже сами создали американцы. Того же Бен Ладена сами создали. Того же талибов сами обучали в горах Шотландии. Они их сами учили. И против них повернули, потому что они видели, что зло откуда идет.
If a truck driver can get a hold of it, a small-time hustler who just wanted to become a rich guy, imagine what professionals could have done. Real professionals with an ideology, with an agenda, with brains.
At least twice or 3 times per year we are able to capture radioactive material. If you are wealthy enough and if you are patient enough, you will successfully find radioactive materials on the territory of former Soviet Union.
Once you've moved the highly enriched uranium, you could use any number of ports in the Middle East or the Mediterranean to ship the HEU to your destination. smuggling highly enriched uranium into the United States is pretty straightforward. Lead pipe will shield the HEU. The detector would have to be within a few inches to pick up any radiation. And then hide it amongst everyday goods.
A 100 pounds of highly enriched uranium is smaller than a football. It would fit in a six-pack of beer cans.
100,000 shipping containers go to the United States every day.
Every way that drugs come to New York City would be the same way you would imagine highly enriched uranium coming. If you have any doubt about the ability of Al-Qaeda to bring highly enriched uranium into the U.S., they could always hide it in a bale of marijuana.
Terrorism is just one threat, the deliberate threat. But there's also the unintentional threat of a nuclear detonation by accident, by error, or by misjudgment. We'd like to think the U.S. military or other militaries that control nuclear weapons are perfect organizations. They will never fail. We expect them to have 100% reliability. But even the well-disciplined, very professional United States military made very serious mistakes with nuclear weapons.
An atomic bomb breaks loose from a mounting shackle in a B-47 jet over Florence, South Carolina, causing a sensational freak accident.
A B-52 bomber was loaded with nuclear weapons by mistake.
An American warplane flew 1,500 miles across the nation, we're told, with 6 nuclear warheads on board.
And nobody knew, not the aircraft's crew, not the commanders on the ground.
We've had B-52s explode in the air during a refueling mission, causing the 4 thermonuclear weapons to fall onto Spanish territory and into the Mediterranean.
A B-52 bomber carrying nuclear weapons crashed near a U.S. Air Force base in Greenland, scattering deadly plutonium over the ice cap.
In 1960, a Beaumark air defense missile exploded, melting the nuclear warhead. In 1968, the USS Scorpion sank 400 miles southwest of the Azores. The nuclear weapons on board were never found. The B-47 bomber disappeared over the Mediterranean. The nuclear weapons aboard were never located. In 1959, an aircraft crashed near Whidbey Island, Washington. The nuclear depth charges were not recovered. A Skyhawk strike aircraft carrying a nuclear weapon rolled off an aircraft carrier in the Sea of Japan. The weapon was never recovered. There are many ways in which efforts to make a system more reliable actually backfire and make it less reliable. Sometimes we add a redundant system. We add backup systems. So if that one fails, another can take its place. But complexity is the enemy of reliability, because as you add systems, make them more complex, it's harder to understand all the potential interactions. unlikely, bizarre interaction where one person interacts with another in a way that wasn't anticipated, or one backup system interacts with another in ways that you can't figure out ahead of time and therefore can't plan around. Those are what caused the problems. In 1961, the B-52 broke apart in midair over Goldsboro, North Carolina, causing 2 nuclear bombs to fall. One parachute functioned properly, and that bomb survived with minor damage. The other parachute failed to open. When that bomb hit, 5 of 6 safety devices malfunctioned. A single switch prevented a nuclear explosion. When I worked in the Pentagon, I believed that the likelihood of a nuclear weapons accident in the United States occurring was very low. I still believe that. But low probability events happen. They happen all the time. There's a first time in history for every event. Eventually, those low probability events will occur.
Oh, blow it. That's what's happened?
Well, you probably list every country in the world today.
Woo! How many countries do I think have nuclear weapons?
List them.
China.
I don't think I signed up for this.
Russia.
США.
UK, maybe?
America, I'm guessing.
Oh, us. Oh, that was a given.
France.
Germany.
Australia.
Canada? I don't think Canada.
No.
Japan. No, not Japan.
There's more. I know there's more.
Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia.
印度、巴基斯坦。
All other countries that's just not telling us they have them.
Afghanistan? North Korea?
North Korea. Do they? Okay, North Korea.
还真说不好，这个真说不好。
Who knows? Who knows exactly?
I don't know. I'm out.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the United States detonated the first atomic bomb in the New Mexico desert, nuclear technology began to spread. And other countries began to acquire their own nuclear bombs.
В экспансионистских кругах Соединенных Штатов Америки распространилась новая религия – вера в секрет атомной бомбы, хотя этого секрета давно уже не существует.
Great credit is due for this mighty British achievement, for it seems that by the possession of such deadly weapons, peace can be maintained in this troubled world.
At Regan, deep in the Sahara, France goes forward with the detonation of her first atomic bomb. The explosion carries France a step further towards General de Gaulle's dream of national glory restored.
This is a gigantic success of Mao Zedong's thought. Our nation's first nuclear test surpasses the levels of the first nuclear tests of the United States, Britain, and France. Their criminal attempts to block and prevent our nation's people from grasping nuclear weapons have been thoroughly smashed. Pakistan, which has often been at war with India, hinted it now might have to join the once select nuclear community in self-defense, and warned membership of the nuclear club will not stop at 6.
One Prime Minister of Pakistan said that Pakistan would build a nuclear weapon even if it meant that the people had to eat grass.
We will make the bomb even if we have to eat grass.
In Karachi, they poured into the streets, pulling a symbol of the power they're celebrating. The bomb has become a huge source of national pride.
Total jubilation in the streets of Pakistan. The first time we've achieved something which places us in the ranks of very, very few countries of the world. We were proud of our scientists, we were proud of our capabilities, we were proud of our strength. People thought that now let India do anything to Pakistan. Let's see what they do.
I had North Korean officials say to me, the lesson they took away from the toppling of Saddam Hussein was that Saddam was ousted because he didn't have a bomb. They were not going to let the same thing happen to Kim Jong-il. Therefore, they needed to have a bomb. North Korea is scared of disappearing into what the communists used to call the dustbin of history, like all their other communist friends, and they see nukes as the one thing that makes them the country that is taken seriously by the United States and the other big players in the neighborhood.
Every country has enemies. Every country can use self-defense as a rationale for acquiring nuclear weapons. But if every country does so, it is a much more dangerous world.
When you see something that is technically sweet, you do it. That is the way it was with the atomic bomb.
The father of the atomic bomb, Robert Oppenheimer, gave some frank answers to important questions in 1947.
I have been asked whether, in the years to come, it will be possible to kill 40 million American people in the 20 largest American towns by the use of atomic bombs in a single night. I am afraid that the answer to that question is yes. I have been asked whether there is hope for the nation's security in keeping secret some of the knowledge which has gone into the making of the bombs. I am afraid there is no such hope.
A nuclear weapon, in a sense, is the most simple configuration of nuclear material that you can imagine. You just bring together a certain quantity of fissile material, highly enriched uranium or plutonium, and if you do it right, it will explode.
The design of the first atom bomb was a very deep secret. In fact, that was a time when people didn't even know whether a bomb was possible. Now, the making of the atom bomb has become much easier.
For those who say building a nuclear weapon is easy, they're very wrong. Those who say building a crude device is very difficult, they are more wrong. Would you agree with that statement?
I won't comment on that statement.
All right, okay.
People from the U.S. nuclear weapons laboratories were testifying in a classified session to Congress, and they said that it would be possible to make a nuclear bomb with all the parts being commercially available except for the actual nuclear material.
Senator Biden asked the heads of the 3 weapons labs, is this possible? Is it really possible that terrorists could do this? And they said, yes. And they said, this is something that we test our graduate students on from time to time. We take 2 graduate students who haven't been prepared for doing this. We tell them, see if you can make a bomb that would work. Lo and behold, most of them pass this test.
Biden said, prove it. And so they went and made a nuclear bomb with everything other than the nuclear material from commercial parts. They actually brought it in to the classified hearing room in the Senate.
Typically, an implosion bomb would have something like 25 kilograms of uranium, which is about the size of a grapefruit. If, let's say, between 70 and 100 kilograms of HEU is available, then the design is not a major factor. It would not be very efficient. It would not use all the uranium that was used in it, and yet it could be enough to level a city.
During my 10 years as Prime Minister, what I really noticed was that it was actually the threat of the proliferation, the fact that these weapons could fall into other people's hands, that was the thing that troubled me, that kept me awake at night.
In the capital Islamabad, word hit the streets in early afternoon. Another nuclear device tested successfully.
As Pakistan celebrated, the public hailed A.Q. Khan as the father of the Islamic bomb.
In 1974, A.Q. Khan was working at a company that was developing a brand new process for enriching uranium. He stole their designs and took the list of all their suppliers. At the end of the day, he's not really a master scientist, but he's a master smuggler and a master organizer. He knows how to get the pieces out of the countries and how to find stuff and buy stuff.
There was this whole clandestine apparatus that was set up by the intelligence services, by the army, and by Dr. Khan. Restrictions were placed, sanctions were placed, but somehow the Pakistanis got around that. And the formal help actually came from India's enemy, China. China gave a blueprint of a nuclear bomb to Pakistan.
Somewhere around the early 1980s, Khan makes contact with the Iranians, who are very interested in getting a bomb, but clearly don't have the scientific or industrial capacity to do it themselves. And thus he starts on a commercial enterprise. Khan has got a full marketing regime laid out with brochures and videotapes to offer his nuclear wares.
It's extremely lucrative business. He had extensive contacts, networks, and he didn't much care about who the ultimate client was going to be.
He contacted Iran, North Korea, Libya, but he didn't just give them the technologies, he also took the bomb designs that the Pakistanis had and threw those in as a sweetener. He gave them 24/7 technology support. Got a problem? Call 1-800-AQ-KHAN. It was a full-service operation.
U.S. intelligence began to focus on A.Q. Khan in the late 1990s. The home run was in December 2003 with Libya.
The CIA and British intelligence essentially caught the Khan network red-handed, selling a full-scale nuclear weapon to Libya.
If it wasn't for A.Q. Khan, Libya never would have gotten the centrifuges that they've now thankfully given up. If it wasn't for A.Q. Khan, there wouldn't be an Iranian nuclear program. Iran is the tip of the spear. It's the big problem that we have to solve. They promised not to build nuclear weapons. But the problem is that the very same centrifuges, the very same factory that can enrich uranium to low quantities for nuclear fuel, can enrich it to high quantities for nuclear weapons. So the question is, do you trust Iran? By their own admission, they deceived inspectors about their nuclear activities for 17 years.
راجع به این مسئله گفتم خب شما خودتون اینو درست کردید. میگیم آقا شما به چه حقی میخواید ما رو محدود کنید؟ اگه چیز خوبی است خب ما هم داشتیم. چرا شما فقط داشته باشید؟ اگه بده شما چرا دارید؟
Without question, Iran is trying to get a nuclear bomb. They've made that very clear, despite their promises that they were only pursuing civilian, peaceful objectives for their nuclear program. They're really good at trying to bring things in that can be used for their nuclear program. The Iranians have worked very hard at disguising and hiding their facilities. Many of their facilities are in crowded urban areas and underground, extremely well protected from any sort of aerial bombing.
If Iran were to acquire nuclear weapons capability, the impact is across the whole of the region. You will get a whole set of other countries deciding they've got to acquire nuclear weapons capability.
Syria, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, the rivals of the Iranian Shia state, would match their capabilities, and we would go from a Middle East with one nuclear-armed nation, Israel, to one with 3, 4, or 5 nuclear-armed nations.
They are surrounded by very unstable regimes and countries. If Iran acquires everything it needs, without doubt, pieces of that become more readily available to terrorist organizations like Hamas.
The risk that you have today with a regime like Iran or North Korea is they are prepared to start trading that nuclear weapons capability and technology.
The Pakistanis had the nuclear know-how. They didn't have the delivery system. The North Koreans had the missile and didn't have the nuclear know-how. So there was a natural convergence of interests here. The North Koreans have a long track record of selling military technology and missiles to the Syrians, to the Iranians, to the Iraqis, to the Pakistanis. They don't really have any other exports. Daily life is very grim. Food is in short supply. You drive around the capital, Pyongyang, at night, and it's basically dark. There's a famous satellite photo that shows the Korean peninsula, and in the south you see all these lights, and then it's just black.
We are still dealing with his years of unchecked activity and contacts, and it really is a genie out of the bottle that cannot be easily put back.
We've spent billions of dollars putting in radiation detectors, but highly enriched uranium is easily shielded. If you are depending on portal monitors to defend a city against a nuclear detonation, you have done far too much too late. Nuclear weapons don't have to be exactly on target. Close is good enough. If a terrorist thinks that the portal monitor might detect the weapon, they set it off in the port.
Highly enriched uranium is easy to smuggle. The radiation is very weak. The detectors that we're putting in place now would have no chance of detecting highly enriched uranium in a cargo container.
The signature from highly enriched uranium is so slight that they have to set the monitors very high to detect it. And so they're getting thousands of false alarms every day. Toilets will set it off. China, porcelain.
Ceramics, stone, like granites, a lot of biological materials like tobacco and some algae. Televisions, the old style televisions, kitty litter, a lot of chemical products, and a lot of other stuff also.
You want to smuggle a bomb into the United States? Ship it in a truck with kitty litter. No one would ever find it.